So first of all, I would like to thank all of you for staying here for the last session of the day. So my name is Håkan Silfvernagel. I work as an AI evangelist and a Microsoft AI MVP for Sopra Steria. And the topic here for today is about how we can detect deepfakes in text, audio, image, and video. So before we get into that, I will just give you some short background info. So I've been a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional in AI since the year 2000. So this is my 5th year. And I've also gotten two awards. Their award final nominee for AI Professional of the Year. And I was also part of the Hyperwrite Nordic Top 100 in Data Analytics and AI. And I will give you my contact details at the end of this presentation if you want to get in contact. And I'm also a community leader, so I'm organizing 4 different meetups. So AI42 is an online AI school, which is on YouTube. So just you can feel free to check it out if you want to get started in the field of AI. Oslo AI is an in-person meetup in Oslo with a focus on different topics in AI. And then I'm also organizing the Norwegian.net user group. So we're like a hybrid. Sometimes we have in-person events, but we've also had quite a few hybrid or online events. And then finally, I'm also part of the Azure user group Sweden, which is founded by a friend, Jonah Anderson, which is also an MVP in Azure. So that's all virtual on Saturdays. But enough about me. So the topic of today here is about deepfakes. And a little bit of the rationale here for me presenting on this topic is actually a news article that I read some time ago, which was there was a big company that I will not disclose that had some subsidiaries, and then all of a sudden one of these subsidiaries called the headquarter, and they had made a deepfake of the CEO's voice, and they said that now we're in trouble here. We need to get this business deal closed. And then by using this deepfake voice, they managed to make a bank transfer from the headquarters to a special bank account. But just before they hit the button, they thought, oh, maybe we should actually try because this is a substantial amount. So they contacted the CEO, and he said, oh no, I've never heard about this company. We don't have any deal about that. There has also been more recent events like this. They've even made a deepfake using video. So they had like a Teams call with the CEO, but the thing was that the CEO was not the CEO. It was a deepfake. So I think this is a topic which will be more and more relevant as we progress. And just as an appetizer or starter, I just wanted to show you this small video here. In today's world of deepfakes, it's not always easy to see what is true and what is fake. En el mundo actual de los deepfakes, no siempre es fácil ver qué es verdadero y qué es falso. Dans le monde d'aujourd'hui des deepfakes, il n'est pas toujours facile de voir ce qui est vrai et ce qui est faux. In der heutigen Welt der Deepfakes ist es nicht immer einfach zu erkennen, was wahr und was falsch ist. Yeah, so the main idea here why I'm showing this is that it's really, really easy because I don't have proficient enough language understanding in either Spanish, French, or German. So I could use this by just logging into a website. In this case, it was the HeyGen website. And on that website, you can, just by recording like a 2-minute clip of yourself, and then it will train up a machine learning model of you. So it can learn both your gestures and how you look like, and also your voice. So now I've only been speaking here for 5 minutes, but I can guarantee you that this is roughly what I sound like. This would definitely have fooled friends and family if I would have shown any of these videos that I showed you. So just to show you that this is very, very accessible for each one of us. So the main reason why HeyGen make this available is because You can create digital avatars. So let's say that you're marketing for a specific product. So instead of you having to book a photo shoot with photographers and all of that things, you can just write a prompt that this is what I want me to say, and then you just push a button, and then you will have a digital version of yourself talking about this and that product. So this is a way that you can save a lot of time. And what is important is that this is basically for free, so it's very, very accessible. So the question here is, are we in a place where we actually can detect these sort of deepfakes, and how do we do that, if so? So I've structured here my presentations in a couple of different sections here. So we're going to be talking both about text, we're going to be talking about images and audio, and then video. So we go sort of from maybe some more basic up until more advanced scenarios here. So the first scenario here is about text. So the question is, can we somehow detect that a text has been written by an AI, or has it been written by a human? And maybe also even more interesting is, can we see parts of this text written by an AI? Because the way that the malicious user will probably use this is they would keep quite a lot of the original text, but then maybe in the core of the text, maybe it's an opinion, maybe it's something that should be positive, they will change a few words that will change the whole meaning of this text. So that can also be important to have in mind here. So here I was just using ChatGPT, and I asked it to create a story here about a benevolent AI. And for us as humans, it's quite difficult here to see. This looks perfectly fine that human could have produced this text here. But some things that we can have in mind here is, for example, repetitiveness. We can see here that AI-generated text could contain repetitive phrases or IDs. And the reason for that is that the language model could get stuck sort of in a loop, and maybe it has some difficulty transition smoothly between different types of topics in this text here. And another indication that it could be AI generated is about the lack of depth in the text here. So it could be that the AI may not have really detailed knowledge about the specific topics, because the way that this AI generates this text is based on like a pattern in the data that it was trained on. So it could also be that if we see here, one of the downsides with using LLMs is they have been trained on a specific training data up to a specific point in time. So if we ask ChatGPT, for example, about the American election or something like that, it will probably not be able to answer it because that happened after it was trained. And another indication is inconsistencies. We can see that sometimes AI-generated text can contain inconsistency or contradiction. Because the AI can struggle to maintain like a coherence over longer text passages. And it could also be that maybe this AI-generated text contains some quite awkward phrasing or words that are not really so common. So an example of this is there was a big software conference that had a call for paper, and let's say that they got 2,000 submissions for the conference, and then they were actually looking through these submissions, and they could clearly see that many of these they had been using ChatGPT or AI to generate this call for paper submission. And one of the things that they could find was a specific word, which is the word delve. So it could be in this presentation we're going to delve into a specific topic, because usually among both English native speakers and people who has English as a second language, we really don't use the word delve. And then it's sort of a little bit suspicious if you can see that almost 80% of these submissions contains that particular word. But to help us with this, we can have a number of different types of tools here and software where we can analyze text, and then usually we get like a probability score back, which can indicate if this text, if it's likely that it's been generated by an AI model. So there are like two cases here where it can go wrong. Either we can see that there's a text that was written by an AI, but the tool will tell us that this text is a human-made text. Or it can be the other way around, that maybe we have a text that is actually generated by a human, but the tool will indicate that this text is AI generated. So one way that we can use is something called an AI model analysis. One of these tools is a tool here that's called Zero GPT, and it markets itself here that you can use both GPT-4 and ChatGPT and other types of detectors here to detect if a text content has been generated by AI or not. But I took this text here that we just generated by ChatGPT, and I pasted it into this tool here. And then it says here that your text is human written and 0% AI GPT. So one of the findings here is also that many of these tools has a very low reliability. So they make errors a lot of times. So we're going to see there's been a study that I will refer to later on where we've seen that it's the highest we can get is around 80%. So that means that 1 out of 5 it will actually give us wrong information. So here we have another tool here called GPT-0, where we also can paste in a text, and then we can just do a scan here and do scanning if this is AI generated or not. And with this tool we get we get better results here. So then we can see here that it's very high probability that this text has been generated by an AI. So some researchers, you can find the original article on this link here. They made an extensive test of the current tools that we have available. And then you can see here, which is marked in red, is the #1 tool here. But still, even with the best tool in that research, they just reached 76%, which means roughly what I said there, that one time out of 5 we will actually get the wrong information. But one quite new thing here is something called RAID, which is called Robust AI Detector. And this is a data set where we have over 10 million documents. It's both articles, blog posts, recipes, and news. And it's a mixture both between AI-generated text and human-generated text. And this is like a test tool or test bench where we can upload our test detection tool, and we can see how well does it perform, like a benchmark for our test tool. And they also provide us with a leaderboard, so we can actually go into this tool and see which one of these tools is the best for me to use. And all of this is publicly available information. So right now, this is the way that we can install RAID. So this is also an open source tool, which is free of charge. You just need to have Python, and then you can install it through PIP install. And here is the current leaderboard for RAID. So so we can see here that the first tool is probably a good tool to try out given that we don't have any other types of options. Another technique that we could use is something called watermarking. So watermarking has a much longer history here that we've tried to prevent text to be copied by others. So by other humans, or text to be manipulated by other humans. So basically the way that we usually do watermarking from a security perspective is that we inject some sort of code or some sort of tokens inside the text which is not visible by us, by the human eye, but you can do a mathematical manipulation of the text content, and then you can see that this contains one or several watermarks. So this is also a research article here where they tried out different detection tools, and and if we see here, so green is an indication that it's machine-generated text. So if we don't have any watermark, then we can see in the first type of example here, then it's like, I guess, like 50-50 that it's either machine-generated text or that it's human-generated text. But then with this watermark that we can introduce here, we can see that most of this is green, which means that it's very high probability that this is machine-generated. So this is one of the ways that I think is most promising here for us, and that is spoken a lot about in the industry, that watermarking is something that we've tried and we have history with it in other domains, and maybe it's a good way to go forward in the deepfake or AI domain too. Then we can also have some more human AI tools, and one of them is something called GLTR, the Giant Language Model Test Room. And basically what you can do here, so one thing which is interesting is that this was originally made for GTB2, but we can try to use it here for GTB4, which is what I have used for my test examples, and see how it actually works. So this is also open and free for anyone, so you can just access it through this URL, and then you can enter text in this text box, and you will get a similar visualization that can show you if it was human-generated or machine-generated. So if we paste this story that I was talking about here on the first slide, we will get the most here in green, which indicates that it's very high probability that this is machine-generated, which is true in this case. Then we can go to images. So now I would like to have a little bit of quiz here. So what do people here think? Is this an AI generated? Then you can raise your hand, or do you think it is human-made? Okay, so most people think that this is human-made photo. And we can see here what was the right answer. So here we can see that this was an AI-generated image. And the state of the art today here, we're going to have a look at some more picture here, is that it's very difficult for us, just with the human eye, to detect if it's an AI-generated image or not. In the past, like maybe 2 years ago, you could actually see some discrepancies. It could be a shadow that was sort of in the wrong direction, or it could be, if we go even further back, it could be that maybe humans, they had the wrong number of fingers, or maybe there was an extra leg here or there. But all of that, we can just forget about it. So these things are moving very, very fast. And we can already now generate more or less motion picture ready clips. So the way that works is that you just write the prompt. You can write the prompt that I'm landing on a foreign planet and I'm going out on a big snowy hill, and then it will generate it for you. And you can't really distinguish it from any movie or any other clip that you've seen before. But let's have a look here at the next picture here. So what do you think about this picture here of this girl? If you think it's AI, you can raise your hand, or if you think it's... As of now, it was a little bit more people who thought that it was AI, but it was still the majority thinks that this is a real photo. So here we can see the answer. And again, also some years ago, there was a site called This Person Does Not Exist. And that was some time ago, but at that time you could actually quite easily see if it was AI generated or not by looking at the background, because usually the background was very blurry, and sometimes also there was like quite strange artifacts in the face. There could be maybe the ear or the eye was looking strange. But again, technology really moves forward in a fast pace here. So yeah. And then the final example is this photo here. So what do we think about this? Is this an AI-generated photo, or is it human generated? So now, now everyone thought that this was human generated, and that's true here. So this was a real photo, but it could have been an AI generated thing here. So we don't really know. But one way that we can test if a picture is AI generated or not is that we can do a mathematical analysis in the frequency domain. So in mathematics and in signal processing, we can use different types of algorithms like Fourier transform and so on, so that we can transfer some data like image data into another way where we can see clearly here if it's a fake or not here. So we have this research document where some researcher has done this frequency analysis and gotten really good results here. So this seems like a very promising way in order for us to detect if it's machine generated or if it's human generated. But this could be a little bit complex here because not everyone is up to date here with how we can do Fourier transform and all of that. But something which is maybe more applicable for us layman's is something called the metadata examination. And this is simply a tool that you can download, and then this tool will get the metadata for an image. And many times an AI generated image will lack certain types of metadata. And by using tools like this is called the EXIF tool, we can examine the metadata and see maybe some parameters or some of this data is actually missing. So I did this for one of my photos that I took myself, and then we can see here it can generate both what is the which phone was it that took it and what type of camera, and it can generate many types of data here. And of course you can always fake this data, but we have to take into account here that that is always possible to fake things. So for us, it's more what kind of tools do we have that we at least can stand some sort of a chance in detecting if it's AI generated or not. And then we have audio. So for audio, here we also have quite a long history and tradition of generating audio. So then there's some classical ways here we can do for speech analysis. We can do a spectrogram where we can see the different types of frequencies in the voice. We can also do a pitch analysis, or we can do a format analysis, which dwells into what type of words people are using and how they pronounce it. And we can also do something called an excitation pattern using this tool here. But again, here we are on. It's always like a cat and a mouse game here. That's sort of the bad people are advancing the new AI algorithms, and the researchers are trying to find out way that they can detect this. And then we also have deepfakes here and videos. So I'm going to show you an example here that was taken from some time ago, and we can see can we have a tool that actually can detect this. So this is a tool called Deepware. So you can try it out, but most of these types of tools are commercial tools that you need to pay a license and all of this. But one of the more famous deepfakes here that was going around is a deepfake here with Barack Obama. So let me try to.
Notino juodasis penktadienis jau čia. Apsipirkite patogiai su nemokamu pristatymu viskam.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time, even if they would never say those things. So, for instance, they could have me say things like, I don't know, Killmonger was right, or Ben Carson is in the sunken place, or, how about this, simply, President Trump is a total and complete dipshit. Now, You see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele.
Yeah, so we can see here there were also, at that time, there were also many examples. Like, for example, you had the voice actor, which was mimicking the voice and gestures of Tom Cruise. And that was very difficult to detect here. But at least through this deepware software that we found here, we could get an indication that this is surely a deepfake. Yes. Yeah, so to summarize this, we've gone through a little bit here, both about text generation, about images, about sound, and about video. And I think the most important thing here is, so one thing is that we may or may not have the right technical tools here to detect if it's generated content or not. But I think the most important thing here is for us to approach new information with a critical eye here, and maybe take into account things from traditional research, that you try to do a triangulation, you try to find 3 independent data sources that can sort of confirm what you've found. And the way that this translates into this is that if you see something which you're curious about, then try to find another source that will confirm it, or that will actually deny it. So I think this is the most important thing here in my whole talk here, is to be very critical against all type of information that you see, because this will be a problem that will be more and more important as we go forward here. And I think I will be here in the conference throughout the whole conference. So I think if you have any questions here, you could just come up to me after this talk with any type of questions regarding this. And if you want to reach me, you can always connect with me on LinkedIn. So you can scan this QR code and just reach me there. So with that said, I would like to thank all of you for your attention.